of today is to call male backs to being men as God defines it, not as what the culture defines it. Okay? So now, sabi ko nga kanina, men ought to position. This is our first point. We have to go back to that same position where God defined us to be. Okay? Men have been given a specific position, a specific role. Okay? So, now for the ladies, hey, don't say na, oh, wala namang, brother there, your sermon is about men. Listen, you know, for ladies, there are going to be two reactions that you might have. Some will be frustrated because probably some of them will say, ganyan na talaga naman ang mga lalaki. You know, men are like that. Because you will be thinking, oh, you know, men are like that. And others will be static because the man in their life or the one who comes along will man up to God's definition. So may pag-asa pa rin. Diba? So maaaring yung iba malulungkot kasi akala nila wala nang pag-asa yung mga kalalakihan, pero meron namang iba matutuwa kasi may pag-asa pa. There's hope. You know, the first thing that we need to understand about man aligning in his position, not by his location, but his position is the position of priority. Okay? That's a big word, the second big word. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to position. Number two, men, listen to me, including myself, men ought to prioritize. What do you mean, Brother Del? I know some might not like that, but it's not a popularity thing. It's a position of priority. Because God says, in 1 Timothy 2:13, it says here, for Adam was formed first, then Eve. Right? The word first has to do with order. You know, maaaring yung sasabihin ng mga, probably some of the ladies will say, oh, it's unfair. No, but it's God who said it. God said, man is first. Right? Sabi lang, for Adam was formed first. Okay? The word first has to do with order. First has to do with progress in time. Kung sino yung nauna. Adam and Eve were not created at the same time. Adam first, then Eve. God spent a whole chapter 2 of Genesis discussing Adam before He gave Eve to him. So we have to understand there is a sense of priority in God. Okay? Why? Probably you would ask me, bakit, Brother Del? Is God have some favorite? No. The reason is because it would be the man who would be responsible. That's the main reason. There should be responsibility. The man was created first because God would hold him responsible even though there were two of them in the garden later on. Remember, God did not say, Adam and Eve, where are you all? Hindi niya sinabi, di ba? When He called Adam, when He called them, He called only Adam. He said, Adam, where are you? God never said, Adam and Eve, where are you both? No, He said, Adam, where are you? You know, if us men were going to be God's man, then we're going to have to accept our responsibilities. For everything God's bring behind us will be second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth because we are all first. So the rest will be succeeding lang. Remember how we used to tell our oldest child, particularly if it's a boy, di ba pagka meron tayong panganay, remember when you have, panganay, sino panganay dito? Nico, David, sino pa? Ako, panganay din ako. Madalas most of the time our parents will say, oh, you're the eldest, you will be held accountable with your brothers and your sister. Kasi you're the first. So there is an aligned responsibility. You know, when God looks in a man, it's the same. He says, I hold you responsible because you are the first. They don't fire teams, they fire coaches. Nanonood sa inyo ng basketball. Raptors, go Raptors. Okay? The coach doesn't drop the ball. Remember, hindi naman sila, anong pangalan nun? Steve Carey, fumble the ball. They are not the one who missed the block. The coach doesn't do that. But he's the one that gets fired because he is responsible for having the team ready to play. Sino ba nagkakamali? Yung mga players. Pero pagka mayroong ipapire out, it's the coach. Because the coach is the one responsible for the players. So if you are the man, if you are the male, God is telling you, I'm holding you responsible, listen to this, even if it's not your fault. Kasi minsan sabi ni Adan, Lord, siya naman pinakain niya ako No. God said, it is your responsibility even though it's not your fault. Why? Because you are the first. And that's the degree of being the first. You know, it might not even be your fault, but I'm holding you responsible, especially for fixing it. Kaya importante yun sa mga panganay. Listen, you know, especially with the men. Hindi mo pwedeng isisi, kasi asawa ko ganun Or, kasi yung kapatid kong babae ganun No. You're the man, take charge. There will be weight or degree. The heart of being God's man means adopting responsibility. Why? Because everything that comes after is banking on you. Lahat sila nakatingin sa'yo especially when you are the first. When you are the man. They are looking after us. You know, in husband and wife, ang madalas tinitingnan, sino ba nagdadala? Yung lalaki. Right? So you have to take the responsibility. God says on Malachi chapter 4, okay, to prioritize. God says in Malachi chapter 4, verse 4 to 6, meron ba? Here. Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him, in order all Israel with the statutes and judgment. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their father, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So, God is saying that there will be a messenger who will come, right? He will be sending Elijah. What will be his action? He would have to restore the fathers to the children and the children to the father, the relationship. And what is the purpose? So that he will not have to curse the land. What is the problem before? Because God could not see a man, he has to curse the land. And now God is saying, I have to send somebody so I don't have to curse it. So, if our culture, if our environment, Milton, Canada, Philippines, if our culture is declining, even, while we discuss all the peripherals, political, social, and racial reason, still, God says, first, on the front end, where is Adam? Kahit ano pa sabihin, Lord, ang daming problema ganito, ganyan. But God will still say, where is Adam? Asan siya? Siyang kailangan ko. Because he is responsible. And I'm just simply putting this in a perspective of being the man, okay? Especially in the area of the family. God chooses men, so there is no excuse. Remember, there will be problems. If you were a mess up man and you have a mess up, and you are a part of the family, then you will be contributing to have a messed up family, right? Kung yung tatay mo magulo, magkakaroon eventually, you will affect the family. Magkakaroon ka ng family that is messed up. If you were a messed up man contributing to a messed up family, and our messed up family goes to church, then our messed up family is going to make contribution to a messed up church. If we're a messed up man contributing to a messed up family resulting in a messed up church, and your church is supposed to be the light of the neighborhood, then your messed up church is going to make its contribution to a messed up neighborhood. If you're a messed up man contributing to a messed up family resulting in a messed up church, causing a messed up neighborhood, and our neighborhood is part of a city, well then our messed up neighborhood is going to make contribution to a messed up city. If we are a messed up man contributing to a messed up family, resulting to a messed up church, causing a messed up neighborhood that resides in a messed up city, and our city is part of a state or province, then our messed up city is going to make a contribution to our messed up state or province, and so on and so forth. So what are you saying, Brother Adel? What I'm trying to say is that it all starts at home. It all starts in the man. So, if we want a better world composed of a better state, province, because they're better made of a better cities inhabited, a better neighborhood, illuminated by a better church, that are made of better families, then we got to start of becoming a better man. Because it all rests in the position of man. Right? So, man is really important. Because they are supposed to live. Because of man was first, he is to function as the foundation. Remember when you build a house, the first thing that they do, I remember we discussed this in our Bible study, the foundation, right? We know that Jesus Christ is our foundation, but in terms of the relationship between the wives and the husband, between the man and the woman, the man is the first and he is to function as the foundation. Normally, pagka first ka, ikaw yung sinusundan. You are being followed. If the foundation collapses, everything on it collapses too. If the foundation is shaky, then things that are banking on it will become shaky too. It will not be solid. When God says, I created Adam first, He is as if saying, we men are the foundation of this whole ball of wax and are banking on us. So in this male of abandonment, male abuse, male disregard, male irresponsibility, we have a cultural chaos. The question is, Adam, where are you? God says that man has the priority of responsibility, though we're not saying that the foundation is the whole thing, because we know that the woman comes in. But the foundation is always the first thing if you're building a building. Men are to function as the foundation. So, ano yung sinabi natin kanina? Men ought to prioritize, right? Because we are the foundation. Equally, God is saying that man is not to be weak. Listen to, again, men, listen, wake up. Sabi doon, God is equally saying that man is not to be weak, part of society, or the house, or the church. We need to be strong, being men. I know we live in a day where, for many women, this is not a popular thought. Kasi maraming mga women activists, sabihin nila, oh, it should be equal. Right? But we have to remember that the goal is not to be popular, but to be biblical. The goal is not to say, what is the culture saying, but what is the Bible or the Scripture is saying. We are not saying that the women are not important, because they do. They have a vital part. They are not just an extra thrown in, not just a diaper changer and a bottle washer. Though we just want not to disregard the point that men have left his priority. It says that in verse 8, he was hiding from the presence of God, right? Sabi din sa verse 8. And watch this. Sabi ganon, in the garden, he was hiding from God. And that garden is God's house. Right? It is Adam's house. We don't miss that. Not only was he hiding from God in his house, because garden was Adam's house. Remember, it is the place where he lived. Adam went to the house to get the leaves to hide from God. Okay, what did we observe on that? Ano na-observe natin? Let me repeat. So I'd like you to catch it out. And we don't miss it. Adam went to the house, which is the garden, and what did he do? He gathered some leaves to hide from God. Pumasok siya sa bahay na pag-aari ng Panginoon, and then he uses the leaf, which is owned by God, to cover him from God. You know, to cover himself and to hide himself from God. You know, today we have men who want all the blessings of God, and they use all the blessing to hide from God. See the analogy? Maraming mga kalalakihan, walang ginawa kundi gusto mag-accumulate. They want to accumulate to the point that they are already separating themselves from God. As in that they are using what God has given them to hide themselves from God. So he says he was hiding from the presence of God in the garden. So we can really hide from the church, right? So if you're going to be God's man or God's kingdom man, then you and I, listen to me men, eye-to-eye contact tayo, we are going to have to accept the role. A man, you have to own the responsibility. We have to own him. Okay, tell it to your wife. I have to own him. I have to own the responsibility of being the man. Let us not use our gifts to hide from God, and far worse, run far away from Him.